and we will share the recording as well as the slides with you all at the end of the session, probably on Monday, once we have some time to process the recording and upload it to YouTube. Awesome, so that we can go to the next slide, Meredith. Thank you. So this is our agenda for today. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of topics to cover. We're just going to walk you through the Enactus year ahead, give you some important tips and tricks and kind of things that you should be looking out for.
Okay, so before we kick off the training, we just wanted to start by introducing ourselves so you know who we are. So I'm Meredith. I'm the program manager for Western Canada and Quebec. And I have been with Enactus Canada for a little over a year now. Before this, I was a part of the Enactus St. Mary's team.
Everybody, my name's Sierra. I'm the program manager for the Atlantic teams in Canada. I've been working with Enactus now for about 2 months, but I actually just recently graduated from St. Clair College, where I was on my team for 3 years.
Hey everyone, I'm Mara. I'm the program manager for Central Canada, minus a few GTA teams. This is my second year at Enactus Canada, and before that, I was at Wilfrid Laurier University on the Enactus team for 3 years.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I am the program manager for all of the GTA teams and the central teams that Mara does not manage, but I also work with a bunch of our special projects like our student entrepreneur competition and run all of our training events.
So before we get into the training, we just wanted to kick off by saying a huge congratulations to Wilfrid Laurier University for coming second place at the Enactus World Cup and first place in the One Race for Oceans. If you didn't get a chance to tune into the World Cup or watch any of the presentations, they're still available at enactus.org/World Cup, and we'll send that link to everyone after this session.
Okay, so let's dive into the training. First, we're going to start by talking a little bit about what makes an official Enactus team. And for us, that means looking at a few different tools that we use to evaluate the overall health of your team. So generally, this is done with the president of the team and the program manager, but it is something that's a responsibility of all of the members on the team. So I'm going to go through a few of the tools that we use. The first one is the team assessment. So ultimately, this is a list of goals that we set out for each of our teams. It's done between the program manager and the student leader of the team. This will be done about 3 times a year. So we'll do it in the fall, in the new year, and after nationals. And ultimately, the reason that we do this is to develop some long-term goals for the team to grow and become sustainable over its time. The next one that we use is the team affiliation agreement. So this is a contract, basically, between Enactus Canada and your team to say that you're an official team for this year. So this contract includes things like the Enactus Canada Code of Conduct, the brand guidelines, your commitment to participating in our competition, and the minimum quality standards. So the minimum quality standards is something that I actually want to go into a little bit more detail of, because ultimately, this is the 9 things that make you an official team. So these things include having a faculty advisor, your administration knowing who you are, your team having at least 10 active members, and competing at our regional and national competitions, submitting your reporting on time, and then if you've already done the summer challenge, you have already done this, but completing a clear budget and having clear roles and positions on your team. And the final piece is having a project that creates impact. So I'm going to pass it off to Mara to describe in detail what that means a little bit more.
So as an Enactus team, there's 3 types of projects your team can run. We encourage all teams to have one of every type of project on their team just to diversify what they do. So the first type of project is a social enterprise. This is a type of project that generates its own funds and doesn't rely on anyone else to be sufficient and run. Some examples of a social enterprise are URSUDS, Poly, Renew Hygienics, and these types of enterprises usually meet the Enactus criteria to the highest level. The second type of project is a community project, and this is a type of project that's similar to a social enterprise, but it doesn't operate as a business, rather as a program. So some examples of this would be a financial literacy project, an entrepreneurial boot camp, and something else like that. And then the third type of project is a strategic project. This is a project you kind of internally run within your team or with your school to kind of help your team meet some objectives like fundraising, recruitment, other things like that. So some examples would be your team hosts a showcase gala, you do a food drive, you do a bake sale, and stuff like that. So going on to the next slide, there's 2 types of impact your project can get. The first type of impact is direct impact. So this is when your team works with a group of individuals to transfer knowledge, skills, and resources, and you work with these individuals directly. An example of this would be your team employs 5 individuals to make soaps. Those individuals you employed would be directly impacted. Moving on to indirect impact, this is when you work with individuals indirectly and transfer knowledge, skills, and resources. The difference with this is, for example, using the same example I used before, you make soaps on your team, you employ 5 individuals, but the actual customers you're selling the soap to would be indirectly impacted because you're not working with them. Both types of impact, direct or indirect, are equally as important. One is not better than the other, it's just a different way you go about the impact. If you're ever confused about what type of impact your project is generating, just ask your program manager and they would be happy to clarify.
Perfect. Okay, so next we'll move into some tools and resources that will help your team this year. So we have quite a robust library of tools that are available to you to help support your team throughout the year. So if you haven't been to the resource library yet, you go on our website at enactus.ca, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, resources. You click on that, you'll get to a screen something like this. Once you go into your team resources, this is just a quick snapshot of some of the resources that are available, but there's a nice library there that'll help you with different components of the team in here. Since there are a lot of resources to help you, I'm going to go through a few key ones and highlight how you can use them this year. So the first ones are around team support, things that you can use to figure out what's coming up next and help grow and develop your team. So now, since we're at the start of the year, the first one's the Enactus Canada Team Manual. It's a good time to take a look at this because it will ultimately give you an overview of the operating guidelines, all the tools that are available to you, and the parameters around the events as well. So if you're looking for the rules and guidelines, that's the place to look for it. The next 2 are the recruitment handbook. So if you were at our session on Wednesday night, you will have learned that we are facing some challenges in this new virtual world for recruitment, but also there was a lot of solutions brought to that. And this recruitment handbook will support you through that with both online and in-person strategies. And the final one is the sustainability handbook. So while you're recruiting all your positions this year, you want to make sure that those positions are all looking for members that could be a successor, somebody who could take over that position next year and ensure that it continues to grow and develop in the way that you want it to. So the next piece of the resources that I'd make sure to take a look at is when you're looking at your project development. So whether you have an idea or it's a project that's been up and running for a long time, if you take a look at these project resources, they'll ultimately give you some exercises and tools to be able to work on your ideas, develop some of the projects and put a planning template in so that they will align with the judging criteria and so that your project can grow. And also it'll give you some tools to evaluate the impact that you're creating, which is a key part when we're looking at our year-end final reporting. The last piece is the external resources. So these are not ones that are on our website, but they're ones that I would recommend you take a look at. If you've been a part of any of the Claymon Mastax resources that they had hosted our leadership summit, they've done 2 for our collaboration summit, and they'll be back. So they've actually brought to our attention Merle and Miro, which are 2 online collaboration tools to do brainstorming. So where we can't be, maybe in person in a room writing on a whiteboard, these are great solutions to that. So for all the resources I just mentioned, we'll be sending out a slideshow afterwards that'll include all the links for these so you can easily take a look at them. The last one I want to mention is a new page that we have on our website this year that will hopefully help you as much as it's helping us. It is the 2020-2021 deadlines and dates. So basically you can go to our website, same spot, enactus.ca, go under the events tab at the top and select this 2020-2021 dates and deadlines. You'll come to a page that looks something like this. The benefit of this is that it's going to give you an overview of deadlines to expect for the upcoming year. So if you're looking For what to expect in October, you can see your deadlines there. So this is one that I'd highly recommend that you bookmark, because it really will give you a lot of information and help you prepare for the upcoming events and opportunities.
Next up, we have a ton of really cool opportunities to recognize you, your team members, and your projects. So to start off, as many of you know, we released our first phase of Project Accelerators September 14th, which the deadline for this will be actually tonight. So if you haven't yet sent out your applications, make sure you get those to your program managers. But overall, Project Accelerators are an excellent way to get funding and support for your projects. Every year, our partners invest about $250,000 into teams across the country. So we really advise that you guys go look at these and make sure that you're applying. The second phase, if you didn't get a chance to apply for the first round, will be released October 26th. So you'll have a chance to look through those and hand them in by November 6th. But you should know by October 28th whether or not you received funding for the first phase. For final reporting happens for all of your Project Accelerators for those of you that are accepted, and that will be due April 16th of next year. For those of you that remember the advisor connections, if you received accelerators before, we have changed that process, and this year we will actually be only required for you guys to have 3 touch points throughout the year. So it's a little bit different than last year. And then for your first meeting with that advisor, you'll also have your program manager on board. So we can go into the next slide. So for Project Accelerators, we do advise you guys to apply for as many as possible and for as many projects as possible. So if you guys have multiple projects that apply to the same accelerator, apply for them. There's no reason why you guys can't apply for multiple projects. The next point that we have is, honestly, your projects don't have to have impact to apply for a project accelerator. We encourage, if you guys are coming up with new and creative ideas right now, to just go out and apply for these project accelerators. So just a few different tips that you guys can look at, a few different tips that you guys can look at for project accelerators. So we want to make sure that you guys are actually looking at the criteria that's laid out. I know it's super easy to kind of copy and paste between accelerators, but it'll make it a lot easier for you guys to be accepted if you're really looking at the criteria and making sure that you're matching your projects and the information to that criteria. So we've had different meetings with some of our student leaders, and we've heard a lot of people want to see new projects and new awards that are recognizing team members more than just kind of the regular student leaders. So we did add a few new opportunities, but just a reminder that the Canadian Tire Resilient Leadership Award is going to be due October 30th, with the Founders Bursary and the Whitney Burham Social Justice Bursary being, the deadline being December 4th. So for the Founders Bursary, this one we provide 25 students with $2,500 in funding that will go towards your tuition. So this deadline, like I said, it's going to be December 4th. So make sure you take a look at that and nominate these students. For the Whitney Burham one, this one goes to one social justice warrior throughout the Enactus Canada network, and that is also going to be a $2,500 bursary. So the new opportunities that I had mentioned before, so first we have the Spirit Champion Award. So this recognizes 3 students across the country who have worked hard to build their team culture and provide support for the Enactus environment. The next one we have is the Media Savvy Award. So this recognizes the team that does the most outstanding job in building their awareness of their Enactus team throughout the year. The next we have is the Most Engaged Team Award. So this recognizes 3 Enactus teams across the country that have shown a high level of engagement in Enactus activities throughout the competition. So being involved in things this, some of our new career opportunities and things like that. So if you guys are engaging throughout the year, this is a really good opportunity for you guys to be recognized for that. But you guys can check out the awards and recognitions on that resource page that Meredith was talking about.
Now I'm going to go through team.enactus.ca, Enactus Canada's reporting platform. So the platform's changed a bit this year than last year. It's managing fewer things, and we've taken all your feedback you provided last year and kind of simplified it and streamlined it to make it easier to use. So the platform manages the following things. The first thing is contact management, volunteer hours, project management, and then final reporting, which consists of project metrics and year-end team info. We have a team manual that goes more in detail on how to use the platform, and we also have some video tutorials on how to use certain functions of the online platform, which all can be found in our resource center, and we'll be sending links to those resources at the end of this session also. So some things you should be working on the platform throughout the year, and you should have started updating or are going to keep updating right now, are contacts and projects. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure all your contacts in the system are updated. So anyone who was on your team last year, they have a new position. If they're no longer on your team, make sure that's up to date so that we have the correct people on your team, and we can send all those people on your team exclusive Enactus Canada opportunities and the newsletter. The next thing you want to do is projects. So you can go in and you can view all your projects that you had in the system from last year. Make sure all the information is up to date. So you might need to update who the project manager is, other things like that. And then if you have a new project, make sure you add it to the system. Even if it's in the initial phases, it's just an idea. Just make sure it's on the system, and you can go in and add that anytime throughout the year. And then the last thing is you want to make sure you're reporting your volunteer hours monthly. So we'll send the link to do that. But once you're added as a contact in the system, you just need the link. You go in, and every month you should report on your hours. This is super important for regionals and nationals to show how much your team has worked on your projects. If you say in your regionals presentation you worked 10,000 hours on your project, but on the online platform you have 0 hours, it's going to be hard to justify that you actually did that work. So make sure your team members are updating their hours every month, and you also are updating your hours every month. And then the last thing on the platform is final reporting. This consists of doing 2 things, project metrics and year-end reporting. You don't really need to worry about this section until the end of the year. And we are going to have another collaboration summit that goes more over these 2 things. And we also have tutorials on our resource center. But the only thing you want to be worried about for now is going into create project metrics and looking at all the fields and all the questions to make sure you're tracking this data throughout the year. You don't want to get to the end of the year and have to fill out project metrics and realize, oh, we forgot to track this data throughout the year. We don't have the answers. So go in now, make sure you're tracking that data so you can accurately report at the end of the year. And if you have any questions on how to use the online platform or need any help, just contact your program manager.
Hi everyone, so for careers, we have always worked with our partners really hard to ensure that you have access to our partner companies and help starting your careers and leveraging your Enactus experience to make sure that you are more employable than ever before. And this year, we have revamped what we have done. So rather than just helping you with some resume reviews and things we have done in the past, we have a full-blown Enactus Careers Week, which is happening later this October, and you can still register. So the link to register will be coming, has been all over our social media and has been sent to you a few times, but it will also be sent again to you after this training when you get the slides and all of the other links that we're sending out today. But we have a really awesome week lined up with some webinars, as well as a really awesome opportunity for you to work and meet directly with some of our partner companies, recruiters and of our alumni to go over your resume, talk about your careers or where you want to go, as well as do a bit of a mock interview or a coffee chat. We'll also be doing a similar week to this, something a little bit different, but same idea in February. So this is a huge opportunity that I strongly encourage you to participate in if you are available. And next up, we are doing a ton more training this year online. Since we have the ability to be more connected than ever, we are doing that exactly this year. So all of our training will be happening online, which is really exciting. And I think so far Collaboration Summit has gone really well, and you've had the awesome opportunity to meet with so many more people than you would have before if we hosted our training sessions regionally and in person. So This fall, we have a few more training sessions coming your way that are all new and exciting. We have project manager training, and we're bringing back Mazdak and Claymont, who hosted our previous 2 sessions this week, and they're going to be taking your project managers through skills like agile project management, project planning, motivation for your team, and some other really key tips and tricks that will be helpful as you're working through your projects this year. It's going to be a really great training that's happening November 11th, and the training links have all been sent to you and will again be sent to you with the slide deck. We're also running a training with one of our external partners, or strategic partners, League of Innovators, who focuses on helping young entrepreneurs bring their businesses to life. And they're going to be running a training where they will take you through all of the steps from turning your Enactus project into a viable and sustainable business. We're also going to hear from some great Enactus alumni and current students who have done this successfully. This will be a really great training for anyone who's looking to take their project to the next step. And again, is going to be a really awesome opportunity. It will be on November 13th. Training links, again, will be sent out to you, and they're already live. We are also running another mental health training for those of you who got to go in the summer in partnership with Cooperators. They are funding for several students to get trained by the Mental Health Commission of Canada to participate in this mental health training session that I would again strongly encourage you to go if that's something that's relevant to your project, your role on your Enactus team, or just something you're interested in for your own daily life. And of course, something new this year we are doing is Winter Collaboration Summit. So similar to what we did this week, we're going to host that in the end of January, beginning of February, and we're going to walk you through some more tips and tricks that will set you up for a successful competition season. So we're going to have some training related to competition specifically and the way that they look this year. We're bringing in some external trainers to help you tell stories and bring your projects to life as you convey them in your presentations, and also just some video and presentation tips, all from external trainers that are going to be amazing. We also, of course, are doing Leadership Summit again, and that happens at the end of May after Nationals. And those are for incoming student leaders, and more details of that will come much closer to the date. One key tip, though, I have for you is as we're doing training, the majority of the information that we share, such as like links to join or last minute information, will come from the email programs@enactus.ca. So it's really important that you add this email to your safe sender list, or if you know you have registered for a training and is getting close to the date and you don't have a link to join, check your junk mail and make sure that you don't have an email from programs@enactus.ca in your junk. That is the best way to join and the best way to make sure you have all of the information you need.
Perfect. Okay, so next we're going to move into an overview of the competition season. So our goal is just to kind of give you a quick overview of what to expect and explain a little bit of how it works if you haven't been to competition before. So we'll start with our first event of the year, which happens between February and March, and this is the regional competition. So these happen in each region. One happens in West, Central, and Atlantic. You compete against each other in topic challenges. So these challenges can include climate change, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and by competing in these, you're ultimately presenting on the achievements that you've had in those topic-related challenges. The purpose is to showcase your team's achievement through the year. So aside from just the topic challenges, we're also working to provide some additional opportunities. So basically, you can compete in the topic challenges. In each of them, there are 5-minute presentations, generally followed by Q&A with a templated report. You have the opportunity to gain recognition and funding, and if you win, you move forward to the national round of this. In addition to this, there's a couple ways to compete at regionals. If you have some projects, maybe you haven't made impact with them, they're still in the ideation phase, you're still doing research and development, but you've developed a solid idea, you have the opportunity to compete in the Best Project Idea Award, which is a video submission on an idea that you've been working on, and you have the opportunity to gain funding to drive that project forward. So these are the opportunities we have now, but keep an eye out for more opportunities to come as we do get closer to the date. Where things have changed a little bit this year, it's looking like we are going to be going virtual for a regional competition. But as we start to develop that out more, we'll send you more details on that and what to expect. So next up, every year, we have our National Exposition, which happens in May. The purpose of this is to bring together students, academic, and industry leaders from across the country. We do this to celebrate your achievements in the academic year. You'll have the opportunity to showcase all of your hard work this year on your community outreach projects, business ventures that have been enabling entrepreneurial action throughout the entire academic year. So this is a presentation-based competition where business leaders serve as judges to determine our national champion that will represent Canada on the global stage at World Cup next year. So just to go in a little bit more detail of how those competition works, nationals is broken down a little bit more. So as I mentioned, from the regional competitions, those that move forward in their region will have the opportunity to compete in the national round of the national topic challenges, and that will determine the winner of the national winner of each topic. But additionally, there's also the national competition, which is open to all teams. All of our teams in the network compete against each other by presenting on the achievements that they've made with the entire year, with the entire team over the academic year. So it'll be a 12-minute presentation with a Q&A generally followed by that. And in addition to that, you'll be able to provide the judges with an annual report. And as I mentioned in the Enactus manual, you'll be able to find some details on how to build that report. But ultimately, this is to supplement your presentation and help them understand your project more. And the final piece of competition at our national exposition is the Student Entrepreneur National Competition, which I will pass off to Sierra to give a little more details on how that works.
Yeah, so in addition to the regular competition, we do host the Student Entrepreneur National Competition. And this is really to just recognize any students that are full-time and also operating their own business. So those that get through the application process, we will select the top 12 and they will compete for a $10,000 award that will go towards their business. The school that nominates the most student entrepreneurs will receive $150. So make sure to get your nominations in. The deadline is November 16th.
So as Meredith said before, the team that wins the national competition goes on to represent Canada at the Enactus World Cup. Super exciting. Next year, the Enactus World Cup will be in the Utrecht, Netherlands. So everyone from the Canadian delegation is invited to come and cheer on Team Canada, as well as participate in the John Dodson Accelerator training. There also is 3 separate competitions your team can apply for to compete in. The first one will be the One Race for Oceans. The second one is the Race to Rethink Plastics. And the third one is the Climate Action Race. So if you're interested or running projects in any of those topics, you can apply to compete in those at the World Cup.
Perfect. Okay, so we have come to the end of the training portion of it. So we'll move into our best practice session very shortly. But first, we just wanted to see if there was any questions. So I'm just going to come back to the main gallery and stop sharing my screen so that we can see you. And if you have any questions, you can enter them into the chat.
You also can say them.
Any questions about competition? Oh, it looks like we have one. Let's see. When is the date for the mental health workshop?
I know the date for the mental health workshop. It is November 14th, which is a Saturday. But the deadline to register for the mental health workshop is October 14th. So that's coming up really quick. So it's important you register early.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, it looks like we have another question in here. So how can we expect the Careers Week to look differently than a typical networking session? So different than the competition? I think this is a really great question. Our Careers has generally been consultations with us, and we've connected you with partners. We've kind of revamped what Careers is going to be this year. And I think when you're looking at what to expect differently, we'll have a lot of external partners coming in, being able to give you insight on what steps to take and how to approach this virtually. I think if you're comparing it to a normal networking session, the difference would be that you have the opportunity to watch webinars and be a part of a couple different sessions, but also be engaged in them throughout the week. So hopefully that answered your question, but if it didn't, let me know and ask it again in the chat.
And Meredith, I just want to tack on to that too. For this upcoming Careers Week, if you guys haven't already applied, you can also upload your resume to actually get a resume review and do a mock interview section and a LinkedIn profile review as part of this Careers Week. There are also a few other webinars kind of focused on virtual interview tips and tricks and stuff and so much more. So as Meredith said, this year we're looking a lot more to our partners and alumni to provide the support and guidance you guys are looking for in terms of helping to start launch your careers. But more info coming for you guys, the launch of Careers Week on October 19th. So make sure you tune in and you'll get an overview of the whole new program.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. And Jen, also, if you could respond to this next question here too. I was looking at the mock interview link for Careers Week, and I was wondering if we can specify availability for either Wednesday or Thursday, because some of us have classes.
So the goal is that we have people kind of provide availability for both days just because of conflicts with our partners as well. But if you can only do one date, if that's not possible to indicate in the form, send your program manager an email or send an email to careers@enactus.ca, just following up with your registration to specify that you can only attend the one day. And we'll do our best to accommodate you. So at this point, it shouldn't be too difficult. So just make sure you make that note soon so we can do our best.
Yes. Thank you so much for the questions, guys. Anybody else wondering anything else? We've got another one here. Do you have any tips on how Enactus members that are soon to be alumni can enjoy this year and get the most out of it now that it's online?
I can also take this one. So we do have a new alumni platform that we launched last year. So if you guys don't know, definitely check out enactusalumni.ca. And it's a new platform, kind of similar to like a LinkedIn. It's like a social networking platform dedicated to Enactus alumni. So sign up there, and essentially throughout the year, we're going to be promoting all of the opportunities which Enactus alumni can engage, whether it's judging competitions, signing up to coach and mentor teams, taking part in the resume and profile reviews for our students. And there's a lot more opportunities coming. So we actually have a new alumni manager who's kind of taking over that strategy this year. So we're launching a new plan kind of in the coming months. But again, those are some of the, engagement touch points that we have throughout the year. And from here on forth, we just see them growing.
Thanks, Jen. And yeah, just to add on to that, Sophia, you were also looking to see kind of how to get the best out of a virtual year this year. I would say yes, it's going to look a little bit differently, but I do think that there's a little bit of a silver lining to it as well. We're providing lots more training opportunities and ways to get involved in different ways. And I think one of the biggest benefits, I suppose, and I use that term loosely, but one of the biggest benefits is that you're able to connect now with people from across Canada. I mean, when we did these collaboration summits in the past, they were just local teams and they were with much, much smaller groups. So now you have the opportunity to connect with people really across the network at all of these training events. So I would say that one of the best ways to really engage this year and make sure you're getting the most of it is just keeping an eye out for all those opportunities and trying to be involved and connect with as many people as possible. And then we have another question here from Sandra. So do you have any tips for fundraising and collecting funds virtually? That is a fantastic question, Sandra. And if you stay around for the next session, if you're able to, I'll actually be running the room for fundraising. I'm not sure if that's the one that you signed up for, but there is a room dedicated to that where we're going to have a conversation around it because, as I said, it is a little different. So it's going to be a little bit of a different approach, but I think there's lots of good solutions that we can come up with. And there's also a few recordings from some conversations around this and other collaboration summits as well. So if you just kind of go back and watch those recordings, I think there'll be a little bit of information on that, but yeah, come visit the room and we can chat a little more. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I think we're going to move into the second portion of the event today. But first, I'm just going to let Catherine talk a little bit about a few things before we jump into it. Go ahead, Catherine.
Awesome. So I know that all of you are really excited to get started with best practice sharing, and that's something we are going to do very shortly. One thing I wanted to send through the chat really quick was a feedback survey that we are running, because we would love to hear all of your feedback about Collaboration Summit. Since we are doing so much more training online this year, your feedback is really valuable to us. So I sent it through the chat. It will also be sent out in the email when we send this deck, the recordings, and all of those things. But now to best practice sharing. So the way this is working, I don't know if you saw me kind of speaking on mute, but I was working with Elle to put us all into breakout rooms based off of what you registered with when you registered for this session. So we have 5 different topics of breakout sessions, and you will all be sent to a room based on what you selected. And there will be someone from Enactus Canada in the room to kind of guide you through those conversations and make sure everyone gets a lot out of those rooms. So we'll be in these rooms for probably 25 or so minutes, and then we will see how they're going. If there's lots more to talk about, we will stay in the rooms. If not, we will come back and maybe do some more breakout rooms, kind of depending on how everyone's feeling. So now is a great time to turn your cameras back on and get excited to meet more people. Feel free to share your contact information in the chat when we get into our breakout rooms and connect with anybody. Elle from Enactus Canada will be in this main room. If for whatever reason you get kicked out of your room, can't join, get kicked out of the Zoom and need to rejoin and then re-enter the room, all is good. So just come back and Elle will be here to help you. If not, if we're all ready, I am going to send you to the rooms and have so much fun.